Hello, my lovely students, and welcome to my channel, Miss Street Teaching Treasure Trove. In today's lesson, I'm going to talk about 100 adjectives. These adjectives are not connected in any way. They are simply adjectives. They are not that simple. So this is, I can say, advanced level. And there are 100 of them. I provided definitions plus some example sentences for every single adjective. So we could start from the first one, abandoned. Abandoned means left without needed protection, care, or support. For example, an abandoned baby, an abandoned child. An abandoned baby was found in a box on the hospital steps. Shelters are full of abandoned pets. The number of abandoned pets brought to the shelter has doubled. So the first meaning is left without needed protection, care, or support. So it may refer to babies, children, animals, and so on. But the second meaning is left by the owner. For example, an abandoned car, an abandoned house. The fire started in an abandoned warehouse. The second adjective, agitated. Agitated means worried or angry. For example, she became very agitated. So it's like nervous, worried, upset. She became very agitated when her son failed to return home. There was a long delay, and people became increasingly agitated as they waited for the train. His grandfather has Alzheimer's and often grows confused and agitated at night. So worried or angry. Number 3, aghast. So be careful of the pronunciation. Aghast. Aghast. It means shocked, worried, or surprised in an unpleasant way. For example, he looked at her aghast. She was aghast at his cruelty. So it means shocked, worried, or surprised in an unpleasant way. Number 4, abhorrent. 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 It means morally very bad, causing or deserving strong dislike or hatred. It's like disgusting. For example, an abhorrent crime or racism of any kind is abhorrent to me. Okay, the next one. Number 5, abrupt. Abrupt. Sudden, unexpected, and often unpleasant. For example, an abrupt change. Our conversation came to an abrupt end, so it means a sudden end, when George burst into the room. As you step into the air-conditioned office, there is an abrupt change in temperature. Number 6, adorable. Adorable means charming, appealing, attractive, easily loved. For example, she has the most adorable 2-year-old girl. They live in an adorable little cottage. What an adorable old lady, so kind and sweet. So charming, appealing, sweet, attractive, easily loved. The next one, absurd. Absurd. Absurd means ridiculous, stupid, unreasonable, silly, senseless, illogical. For example, what an absurd thing to say. It's an absurd situation. Neither of them will talk to the other. Thinking you can wear flip-flops and a bikini to the North Pole is an absurd idea. So ridiculous, stupid, unreasonable. Abundant. Abundant. Abundant means more than enough. For example, an abundant supply of food. Or there is abundant evidence that cars have a harmful effect on the environment. The lake is abundant in fish. So it means that there is a lot of fish in this lake. The lake is abundant in fish. The riverbanks were abundant in beautiful wild plants. The next one, bewildered. bewildered. Bewildered means deeply or utterly confused, uncertain, perplexed, puzzled. For example, he saw the bewildered look on my face. Some shoppers looked bewildered by the variety of goods on offer. I was too bewildered to do or say anything, so I was too confused to do or say anything. He looked at her with a bewildered expression. Number 10, fragile. Fragile means easily damaged or broken. For example, be careful with that vase, it's very fragile, so it's easily damaged or broken. You can easily break it. Small mammal bones are extremely fragile, so this is the first meaning. It refers to things. However, it can also refer to people, and it can mean easily hurt, weak, or in poor health. For example, he looked rather fragile after his operation. Mary is a small, fragile old lady. I feel fragile, as if a breath of wind could knock me over. So I'm very sensitive. Easily hurt, weak, or in poor health. Okay, the next one, alert, quick to see, understand, and act in a particular situation, paying attention. For example, parents should be alert to sudden changes in children's behavior. So this adjective is followed by the preposition to be alert to. Parents should be alert to sudden changes in children's behavior. Doing puzzles and crosswords regularly keeps your mind alert and active. Although my granny was fragile in her old age, she was mentally very alert. Let's just go back to fragile. So the second meaning, easily hurt, weak, or in poor health. This may refer to physical, to being physically sensitive or easily hurt, but also mentally or emotionally, not just physically. Okay, the next one, number 12, immense. Immense means extremely large in size or degree. For example, immense wealth, immense fortune. She spent an immense amount of time sculpting the head of a famous warrior. They spent an immense amount of time getting the car into perfect condition. He inherited an immense fortune. The next one, relieved. Relieved means happy that something bad or unpleasant has not happened, or happy that something bad or unpleasant has ended. So when we expect something bad or unpleasant to happen and eventually it doesn't happen, we feel relieved. When he passed the exam, he felt relieved. I was so relieved to see Jane reach the other side of the river safely. She was immensely relieved when she saw that the result of the medical test was negative. So she was expecting the bad result, but it wasn't bad. It was negative. So she was immensely relieved when she saw that the result of the medical test was negative. It was good, and she was immensely relieved. Okay, sarcastic means saying or doing the opposite of what you really mean in order to mock someone, insult someone, hurt someone's feelings, or humorously criticize someone or something. For example, a sarcastic remark, a sarcastic comment, sarcastic criticism. He was a critic known for his sarcastic remarks. So saying the opposite of what we actually think, usually in order to hurt someone's feelings or to insult someone. When, for example, someone tells you, "Oh, you are so smart," but they say this in a sarcastic way, with a sarcastic tone, then they actually mean the opposite. The next one, dazed. Dazed means very confused and unable to think clearly. For example, she had a dazed expression on her face. You're looking rather dazed. Is something wrong? The driver in the accident appeared dazed but not badly hurt. The next one, deathly. Deathly. Deathly means extreme in a way that is unpleasant, seeming like death. For example, after he had spoken, a deathly silence fell on the room. She went deathly pale. The crowd was deathly silent. There should be no A here, so extreme in a way that is unpleasant, seeming like death. The next one, deceased. Deceased. Deceased means dead. For example, she inherited some money from the deceased relative. Deceptive. Deceptive means making you believe something that is not true. For example, appearances can be deceptive. I really love this expression, appearances can be deceptive. It means a person, place, thing, or situation can be very different from how it seems or appears to be at first glance, so we shouldn't judge someone's character from their physical appearance. What someone or something seems like is not what he, she, or it actually is. So appearances can be deceptive. The second example, that house sure looks beautiful on the outside, but appearances can be deceptive. She looked so calm and serene, but she was actually quite short-tempered. Appearances can be deceptive. Serene also means calm. Serene means calm, peaceful. Number 20, deciduous. Deciduous trees lose their leaves in autumn and grow new ones in spring. The opposite of deciduous is evergreen. Evergreen trees have leaves throughout the year that are always green and don't fall out. So deciduous, the opposite is evergreen. Okay, the next one, defamatory. Defamatory. Damaging the reputation of a person or group by saying or writing bad things about them that are not true. For example, he claims the remarks were highly defamatory. The magazine had refused to withdraw the defamatory allegations. So they made defamatory allegations against someone and they refused to withdraw them. The court found some of the statements defamatory. She said the story was completely untrue and highly defamatory. The next one, defeatist. Defeatist. It means having no hope and expecting to fail. It is the opposite of having winning attitude. So, or the opposite of victorious. Victorious, or we can say to have winning attitude. The opposite of this one is being defeatist. So when someone is defeatist, they don't have any hope and they are quite pessimistic. They expect to fail. For example, she has got such a defeatist attitude. You should try not to be so defeatist. The next one, defenseless. Defenseless. Defenseless means weak and unable to protect yourself from attack. For example, a small defenseless child, a defenseless city, a defenseless old woman. They were defenseless against the enemy bombs. The next one, onerous. Onerous. Onerous means difficult to do or needing a lot of effort. For example, she was under a lot of stress because it was an onerous task and there wasn't enough time for it. My household chores were not particularly onerous. This is the most onerous task I have ever undertaken. Taking care of 3 puppies is an onerous task. I completely agree. The flight attendant was not prepared to deal with onerous work. Okay, 25, imminent. Imminent means coming or likely to happen very soon. For example, imminent disaster, imminent danger. He warned that an enemy missile attack was imminent. A rainstorm was imminent. 26. Impassable. Impassable. An impassable road or path cannot be traveled on because of bad weather conditions or because it is blocked. For example, many roads were flooded and impassable following the storm. The roads were made impassable by the flood. 27. Impeccable. Impeccable. Impeccable means perfect, with no problems or bad parts, flawless. For example, impeccable taste, impeccable manners, or his English is impeccable, so his English is perfect. She spoke impeccable French. She has impeccable taste in music. Impertinent, rude and not showing respect, especially towards someone older or in a higher position than you. For example, an impertinent remark, an impertinent question. She thought that he was impertinent when he asked her about her private life, so rude and not showing respect. Adjective number 29, implausible. Implausible. Implausible means difficult to believe or unlikely. For example, the whole plot of the film is ridiculously implausible. She has been making implausible claims. He gave an implausible excuse for showing up late for work. So difficult to believe. The novel has an implausible ending. Okay, the next one, rapturous. Rapturous. Rapturous means showing extreme pleasure and happiness or excitement. Ecstatic. So it's the same as ecstatic. The play was greeted with rapturous applause. The team received a rapturous welcome. The next one, vociferous. Vociferous. Vociferous people express their opinions and complaints loudly and repeatedly in speech. They speak with great energy and determination because they want their views to be heard. And vociferous demands are made repeatedly and loudly. They are loud and forceful. For example, vociferous cries of protest and outrage. He is her most vociferous critic. And he was vociferous in his support of the proposal. So this adjective may refer to people, and we may also say vociferous demands. Okay, the next one, warlike. Warlike means often involved in and eager to start wars. It is logical, so warlike connected with war. For example, a warlike mood, a warlike speech. It has often been said that they are warlike people. People who are eager to start a war. Adjective number 33, insurmountable. Insurmountable is used especially of a problem or a difficulty, and it means so great that it cannot be dealt with successfully. For example, insurmountable difficulties, insurmountable obstacles, insurmountable problems, insurmountable circumstances. This small country is faced with an insurmountable debt. So great that it cannot be dealt with successfully. The next one, bygone. Bygone means belonging to or happening in a past time. For example, a bygone era, bygone days, the bygone days of our ancestors. The stone wall is from a bygone age. The faded photograph brought memories of bygone days. Okay, the next one, audacious. Audacious means showing a willingness to take risks or offend people. Adventurous, similar to adventurous. He described the plan as ambitious and audacious. An audacious remark, an audacious suggestion. The car maker's audacious goal is to compete with the luxury cars of other manufacturers. She made an audacious decision to quit her job, so showing a willingness to take risks or even offend people. It can also be similar to adventurous. Audible. Audible, able to be heard, loud enough to be heard. For example, the student's voice was barely audible when she responded to the teacher. The lecturer spoke so quietly that he was scarcely audible. She gave an audible sigh of relief. He let out an audible sigh, a clearly audible sound. The next one, bad-tempered. Bad-tempered. A bad-tempered person becomes angry and annoyed easily. For example, she is very bad-tempered in the mornings. My friend's son is a very naughty and bad-tempered child. Bearded. Bearded means having a beard. She was dating a bearded 43-year-old professor. A thin bearded man sat opposite me on the train. The next one, scornful. Scornful means contemptuous, showing or feeling scorn for someone or something. Scorn is a very strong feeling of no respect for someone or something that you think is stupid or has no value. So this adjective has a negative meaning. For example, a scornful look, a scornful remark, scornful laugh, a scornful tone, and scornful laughter. He opened the door with a scornful look on his face. So showing or feeling scorn, the same as contemptuous. Contemptuous. These two are synonyms. Okay, number 40. Jubilant. 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 Feeling or expressing great happiness, full of extreme happiness. For example, the fans were jubilant about, or the fans were jubilant over their team's victory. So we may use these two prepositions after jubilant, about or over. The fans were jubilant about, or the fans were jubilant over their team's victory. Jason was jubilant to be with his girlfriend. The fans were in a jubilant mood after the victory. I am jubilant to learn that my sister is finally having a baby. Sandra couldn't control her jubilant emotions after winning the lottery. Graduating from college was one of the most jubilant moments of my life. Okay, the next one, laborious. Laborious. Laborious means needing a lot of time and effort devoted to work. Industrious, so the same as industrious. For example, a laborious task. It was slow and laborious work. Checking all the information will be slow and laborious. No man can reach the summit of a mountain without a long and laborious climb. Ants are very laborious. He is a very hardworking and laborious student. Laid back. Laid back means relaxed, not worried. For example, I've never seen her worried or anxious in any way. She's so laid back. My boss is so laid back. I've never seen him get upset about anything. She is very laid back about her exams. She has a laid back attitude to life. Angie wished to give up her busy New York City lifestyle for laid back beach life. Many people visited the bar because of its laid-back atmosphere. Notorious. Notorious is the same as infamous. Infamous. And it means famous for something bad. So notorious or infamous. He was one of the most notorious criminals. The company is notorious for paying its bills late. He was notorious for his violent and threatening behavior. The country is notorious for its appalling prison conditions. Many tourists avoid this area because it is notorious for crime. So, famous for something bad. It has a very negative meaning. Obsolete. Obsolete means not in use anymore, having been replaced by something newer and better or more fashionable. For example, typewriters have been rendered or made obsolete by computers. The disposal of old and obsolete machinery. Will computers render books obsolete, or will computers make books obsolete? We need to replace some obsolete equipment. Payment by check will soon be obsolete. So obsolete, the pronunciation is obsolete. Momentary, lasting for a very short time. The pause was only momentary. I asked her to come with me, and after a momentary hesitation, she nodded. There was a momentary flicker of pain in his face. A momentary look of anxiety passed across his face. The next one, climactic. Climactic. Forming or relating to the most important or exciting point in a story or situation. So it is connected with the noun climax, climactic. For example, the film ends with a climactic battle scene. She was marvelous in the climactic sleepwalking scene in Macbeth. He is in the climactic moments of his career. Numerous. Numerous means many. We have discussed these plans on numerous occasions. The book contains numerous descriptions of landscapes. She decided to leave for numerous reasons. The birds are becoming more numerous in this area. After being given numerous warnings for disrupting class, Thomas was finally sent to the principal's office. The next one, lethargic. Lethargic means having little energy, feeling unwilling and unable to do anything. For example, I was feeling tired and lethargic. He felt too miserable and lethargic to get dressed, so having little energy, having no energy. Lana awoke lethargic and in pain. During the hottest days of summer, I feel so lethargic. Chocolate is my favorite remedy when I'm feeling lethargic. Adjective number 50, awe-inspiring. Awe-inspiring means causing you to feel great respect or admiration. For example, Niagara Falls is an awe-inspiring sight. Her knowledge of computers is quite awe-inspiring. There are many grand and awe-inspiring sights in this country. The building was awe-inspiring in size and design. So, awe-inspiring, causing you to feel great respect or admiration. The next one, murderous. Murderous means extremely dangerous and likely to commit murder. For example, he was a murderous gangster. She gave a look of murderous hatred. He took the knife with murderous intent. There were a lot of violent and murderous attacks on white farmers and their families. So, murderous. Coarse means rough, not smooth or soft, but it can also mean rude and offensive. For example, coarse sand, coarse breadcrumbs, coarse hair, coarse linen shirts. Linen is a coarse fabric. A coarse joke, a coarse language. Now and then coarse laughter broke out. So a coarse joke, it means a rude joke, an offensive joke, a coarse language, the same. Mutual. Mutual is used of two or more people or groups, and it means feeling the same emotion or doing the same thing to or for each other. For example, their partnership was based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. The agreement was terminated by mutual consent. She disliked Paul and the feeling was mutual, so he also disliked her. They were gossiping about parties and mutual friends, so they had the same friends and they gossiped. They were gossiping about them. Coherent. Coherent means clear, organized, having its parts connected in an organized and reasonable way, expressing yourself clearly. It can also mean expressing yourself clearly. For example, the president has presented a coherent plan for dealing with the problem. When she calmed down, she was more coherent. So it means that she was able to speak clearly and be understood. He was hardly capable of conducting a coherent conversation. So clear, organized, having its parts connected in an organized and reasonable way. Obscure means not known to many people, not clear and difficult to understand and see. Also two meanings. So not known to many people and not clear and difficult to understand and see. For example, an obscure island in the Pacific. The hymn was written by an obscure Greek composer. His answers were obscure and confusing. The contracts are written in obscure language. The details of his life remain obscure. The next one, piecemeal. Piecemeal means in an unsystematic way, one piece at a time, gradually, not done according to a plan, but done at different times in different ways. For example, do we fix it all now, or do we approach it piecemeal over time? Unfortunately, everything is being done piecemeal, so it means gradually, little by little, but in a seemingly random way with no order or system. So it doesn't have a good meaning. It means in an unsystematic way, gradually and not done according to a plan. Gradually, but not done according to a plan. Auspicious. Auspicious means suggesting a positive and successful future. For example, our first meeting was not auspicious. We had a huge argument. Winning her first 7 cases was an auspicious beginning for the young lawyer. After his boss praised him for his hard work on the big project, Sam felt it was an auspicious time to ask for a promotion. The next one, oceanic. Oceanic means relating to oceans. Over the past half century, oceanic sharks and rays have diminished around the globe. They feed on fish, squid, and similar oceanic food. Formidable. Formidable means causing you to have fear or respect for something or someone because that thing or person is large, powerful, or difficult. For example, a formidable task, a formidable obstacle. She is a formidable figure who commands a great deal of respect. Commands means deserves. He is fighting against a formidable opponent. So commands. Commands means deserves. He is fighting against a formidable opponent. We have a formidable task ahead of us. She has a formidable reputation in both jazz and classical music. Okay, adjective number 60. Observant. Good or quick at noticing things. Religious. Obeying religious rules, laws, or customs. So this adjective also has 2 meanings. The first one is good or quick at noticing things. So if you are observant, you are good at noticing things. But the second meaning is religious, obeying religious rules, laws, or customs. For example, Carrie has a clear, observant eye. As an observant Muslim, she wore a headscarf. As a particularly observant child, he noticed even the slightest changes in the classroom. The next one, callous. Callous means unkind, cruel, and without sympathy or feeling for other people. For example, he had a callous disregard for the feelings of others. As callous as it may sound, trying to help some people is a waste of time. I don't mean to be callous, but I'm not loaning you any more money. The doctor seemed callous when he delivered the bad news. He is callous about the safety of his workers. His behavior on that occasion was extremely callous. so the same as cruel. Rustic. Rustic means simple and often rough in appearance, typical of the countryside. For example, we stayed in rustic cabins with no electricity, so typical of the countryside. The property has a certain rustic charm. The place feels rustic and the atmosphere is great. They chose a fashionably rustic look for the kitchen. The next one, caffeinated. Caffeinated means containing caffeine. For example, caffeinated drinks, caffeinated beverages. She drinks both caffeinated and decaffeinated coffee. Odious. Odious means extremely unpleasant and causing or deserving hate. So it has a very negative meaning. An odious crime, an odious little man, an odious task. He is certainly the most odious man I have ever met. Because Mark had an odious personality, he had very few friends. Cleaning the toilet is such an odious task. When my sister cooks, she always leaves an odious mess in the kitchen. Adjective number 65, neurotic. Neurotic means having unreasonable anxiety, worrying too much about something, usually something unimportant. For example, neurotic behavior, neurotic tendencies. She is neurotic about her weight. She weighs herself 3 times a day. The children of overprotective parents are sometimes rather neurotic. She became neurotic about keeping the house clean. He was a shy, neurotic man who found it difficult to make friends. Okay, the next one, pig-headed. Pig-headed means unwilling to change very strong opinions, obstinate, extremely stubborn. I was too pig-headed to listen. It's almost impossible to get a pig-headed person to listen to your advice. He was too pig-headed to listen to my suggestion. How could she date this pig-headed man? So it's quite similar to obstinate or stubborn. These are synonyms. The next one, ongoing. Ongoing means continuing to exist or develop, or happening at the present moment. For example, an ongoing investigation, an ongoing process, an ongoing project. No agreement has yet been reached and the negotiations are still ongoing. There are a number of ongoing difficulties with the project. There is an ongoing investigation into the cause of the crash. Benign. Benign means pleasant and kind. This is the first meaning, but it can also refer to some lump. So if we refer to some growth on our body, on someone's body, it means that it is not cancer, it is not dangerous. A benign growth is not cancer and is not likely to be harmful. It's the opposite of malignant. Malignant means cancerous. For example, a benign old lady, a benign smile, a benign tumor. So we know that a tumor can be benign, but it can also be malignant. If it is benign, it is not dangerous, it's not cancerous, but if it is malignant, it is. Fortunately, her lump proved to be benign. Cadaverous. Cadaverous means looking pale, thin, and ill like a cadaver. A cadaver is a dead body. He'd been trying to quit for years, did so on and off, and his face would lose some of that cadaverous look for a few months. So he was addicted to something, maybe nicotine or some drug. He was a tall, thin, cadaverous-looking man with almost no hair and very deep sunken eyes. I saw a cadaverous face appear at a small window. So looking like a cadaver. Obnoxious means very unpleasant or rude. He said some really obnoxious things about his ex-girlfriend at the party. He is the most obnoxious man I know. The men at the bar were loud and obnoxious. When she is in a bad mood, she is obnoxious to everyone, so it means very unpleasant or rude. Monstrous. Monstrous means very cruel, extremely evil. For example, a monstrous crime, monstrous cruelty, monstrous deeds. She enjoyed her husband's monstrous behavior for years. It's monstrous to charge that much for a hotel room. The killer committed monstrous acts. The next one, raucous. Raucous means loud and unpleasant, loud, excited, and not controlled, especially in an unpleasant way. For example, I heard the raucous call of the crows. Raucous laughter came from the next room. The party was becoming rather raucous. He burst into raucous laughter. They grew more and more raucous as the evening went on. Clamorous. Clamorous means making a lot of noise. For example, clamorous, excited voices. She longed for siblings and pets and a lively, clamorous household. The city center was crowded, dusty, and clamorous. The clamorous noise kept us up all night. The walls in the hotel room were so thin, even the slightest noise sounded annoyingly clamorous. When our neighbors refused to lower their clamorous music, we called the police. Negligible means too slight or small in amount to be important. The difference between the two products is negligible. My knowledge of Russian is negligible. A negligible amount of damage was done to the vehicle. The price difference was negligible. So too small in amount to be important. To be noticed. Negligent means not being careful or giving enough attention to people. So it's not related to negligible. Negligent has a completely different meaning. So it means not being careful, not giving enough attention to people or things that are your responsibility. For example, the teacher was negligent in allowing the children to swim in dangerous water. It was necessary to prove that the manager had been negligent. He was negligent in not reporting the accident to the police. She was negligent in her work. The school was negligent in not informing the child's parents about the incident. Motionless means without moving. For example, the horse lay motionless on the ground. He stood motionless when he saw the snake. She sat motionless, waiting for their decision. Ravenous. Ravenous means extremely hungry, wanting something very much or wanting a lot of something. So it has two meanings, extremely hungry and wanting something very much or wanting a lot of something. For example, growing boys have ravenous appetites. We were ravenous after hiking all day, a ravenous appetite for cash, a stage star who was ravenous for attention. The ravenous children ate everything on the table. Most infants have a ravenous appetite. The next one, clairvoyant. Clairvoyant means claiming to have powers to see the future or see things that other people cannot see. For example, one of her aunts is clairvoyant. People are claiming to have had clairvoyant visions of the murderer. She had remarkable clairvoyant powers. The psychic's clairvoyant abilities allowed her to see into the future. Orchestral means connected with or involving an orchestra. For example, an orchestral arrangement. The orchestral playing was elegant. Orchestral music and opera are expensive because they need large numbers of people. The next one, pathological. Pathological is used for a person unable to control part of their behavior. Unreasonable. For example, I've got a pathological fear of heights. So unreasonable fear. Anthony is a pathological liar. My sister is a pathological liar who never tells the truth about anything. Will is a pathological gambler, and he will steal from his family to continue his habit. So he is addicted to gambling. Adjective 81, chivalrous. A chivalrous man is polite, honest, fair, and kind towards women. For example, he was polite and chivalrous and never cussed in front of her. He was dignified in a dark suit and tie and chivalrous as he held a chair for her. He was chivalrous in an old-fashioned way. His love for her was chaste and chivalrous. My chivalrous husband always opens doors for me. When the chivalrous man politely asked me to dance, I immediately accepted his invitation. When Anne was attacked in the alley, a chivalrous hero rescued her. The next one, far-reaching. Far-reaching means having a great influence on many people or things. For example, these new laws will have far-reaching benefits for all working mothers. The effects of the protest will be far-reaching. The court issued a far-reaching decision. John's activity had far-reaching effects. I guess people don't realize the far-reaching aspects of cheating. The practice had far-reaching environmental consequences. The next one, clandestine. Clandestine means planned or done in secret, especially describing something that is not officially allowed. For example, the group held weekly clandestine meetings in a church. He has been having a clandestine affair with his secretary for 3 years. She undertook several clandestine operations for the CIA. The spies had a clandestine meeting. Ornamental means beautiful rather than useful. For example, the handles on each side of the box are purely ornamental. It means that they are for decoration only. The ornamental ironwork lends a touch of elegance to the house. Ornamental copper pans hung on the wall. Resolute means determined in character, of action or ideas. For example, she is utterly resolute in her refusal to apologize. I admired her resolute optimism in those difficult times. She is a resolute competitor. She entered the room with resolute steps. Her voice sounded calm and resolute. The next one, dismissive. Dismissive means showing that you do not think something is worth considering. For example, he is so dismissive of anybody else's suggestions. A dismissive attitude. He is dismissive of the idea. She waved her hand with a dismissive gesture. The doctor was dismissive about my symptoms and said I would be better in a few days. Eagle-eyed. Eagle-eyed means noticing everything, even very small details, quick to notice things. Observant, having keen vision. For example, my eagle-eyed mother noticed that some biscuits were missing. 3 cannabis plants were found by eagle-eyed police officers. An eagle-eyed tourist found a suspicious package. 2 eagle-eyed reporters noticed the politician leaving a prostitute's house. The next one, adjective 88, ruinous. Ruinous means disastrous or destructive, causing great harm or destruction. In ruins, dilapidated, ruined. For example, a ruinous effect on the environment. The castle is ruinous. 10 ruinous years of war. My history teacher claims that the effects of World War II were so ruinous that Europe never fully recovered. The next one, perky. Perky means happy and full of energy, showing a lot of energy in a happy, confident way. For example, after drinking 2 cups of strong coffee, Stephen was very pucky. So it means very energetic. Eccentric means strange or unusual, sometimes in an amusing way. For example, eccentric behavior, eccentric clothes. He was a kind but eccentric man. So we may use this adjective for people. We may say an eccentric man, an eccentric person, but also eccentric behavior, eccentric habits, eccentric clothes. She's become more eccentric over the years. The old lady has some eccentric habits. The book includes a range of eccentric characters. Resourceful. Resourceful means skilled at solving problems and making decisions on your own. For example, she is a very resourceful manager. She plays the part of a tough, resourceful newspaper reporter. Her mother was a resourceful and energetic woman. He is very clever and endlessly resourceful. Spontaneous. Spontaneous means not planned, happening or done in a natural, often sudden way, without any planning. So not planned, happening or done in a natural, often sudden way, without any planning. For example, his jokes seem spontaneous, but were in fact carefully prepared beforehand. She is such a spontaneous, lively woman. The crowd gave a spontaneous cheer. The audience burst into spontaneous applause. The next one, dismal. Dismal means dark and sad, without hope, very bad. For example, what dismal weather. The trip was a dismal failure. The future looks pretty dismal right now. It was a really dismal day. When I saw the doctor's dismal face, I knew the news was not going to be good. The next one, self-righteous. Self-righteous means believing that your ideas and behavior are morally better than those of other people. For example, he is so self-righteous, like he's never done anything wrong in his life. He is the most annoying, arrogant, self-righteous man I have ever met. She is a vegetarian, but she is not at all self-righteous about it. Placid means not easily upset or excited, calm and peaceful, having a calm appearance or characteristics. For example, a slow-moving and placid river. The placid pace of village life. She was a very placid child who slept all night and hardly ever cried. The placid lake was perfect for canoeing. The next adjective, opulent. Opulent means expensive and luxurious, rich in appearance, showing great wealth. For example, he lived an opulent lifestyle that included sports cars and enormous houses. An opulent lifestyle, an opulent hotel. The couple live an opulent lifestyle and travel all the time. Adjective number 97, rabid. Rabid means unreasonable, having and expressing extreme and unreasonable feelings, extremely enthusiastic or having extreme feelings or opinions, but it can also mean having rabies, suffering from rabies. Rabies is a serious disease of the nervous system that can cause death. For example, rabid fans of baseball. Her husband is a rabid football fan. The politician has rabid supporters. Her mother was bitten by a rabid dog. The next one, easy peasy. Easy peasy means very easy, very straightforward and easy. For example, easy peasy questions. The device is easy peasy to set up. The cake is easy peasy to make. The next one, happy-go-lucky. A happy-go-lucky person does not plan much and accepts what happens without becoming worried, not easily made worried or anxious. For example, he was a happy-go-lucky person and he was very well liked. She goes through life in a happy-go-lucky fashion. She's so happy-go-lucky, even the worst events don't affect her. She is naturally happy-go-lucky, even though it annoys her friends. And the last adjective for today, odorous. Odorous means having an unpleasant smell. The odorous smell of tobacco filled the crowded room. On their first date, the couple made sure to avoid odorous foods such as garlic and onions. Odorous air filled the car as we drove past the stinking landfill. Okay, we completed this lesson and I hope that you enjoyed it. You may subscribe to my channel for further content and see you next time. Bye!